So the power seats, the driver's side, almost all of it functions except going back and forth. I mean forward and back. On this seat nothing was working. I started probing everything and it wasn't getting any power, so I started digging out the wires. Here's a connector, all green, because it was just something was spilled here. And here's the positive wire, not even connected, broke off. So if you have no power to your seat, remove the side cover here and dig under the carpet for wires, and it could be a simple connection here, a wire broken like mine. I'll know in a minute if it works. Go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say.
Okay.
It's working! It's working!
Okay, seat number 2. This is a driver's seat. So the issue with this seat was that it would travel only on one side, going forward and back. All the other power seat function, the tilt and up and down, that was working fine. But going back and forth, it would travel on this side, but not on this side. It would actually put the seat on the angle, just cock the seat every time I try to move it. Where on the passenger side, it wasn't moving, nothing was working at all, and it was a wire. On this one, it was the famous housing of the, there's a bunch of cables going to a little transmission gearboxes. And the issue is, it's a known issue. The cables are too long, too short. The metal cables are too short for the housing. Let me show you. These cables inside here, they move in and out like so. And this cable will either go too deep in the motor or too deep in the gearbox and not be engaged on one side, because this black plastic housing is just too long. As you can see the burn marks. I watched Robert's video and he was showing how to shorten this thing. Basically heat it up, take the sleeve off, cut about 3/8 of an inch, quarter to 3/8 of an inch off, which I did from that black housing. It's just plastic. It's not like a bicycle cable where it's steel reinforced. This one's just plain plastic tubing that this cable runs into. And basically by shortening the tubing, now you have more cables sticking out. And now it's guaranteed to engage on both sides, in the transmission and the gearbox and in this electric motor. So basically that's what I did. I shortened up the black thing and the cable, and boom, the seat works. Now Robert claims he can do this without removing the seat. I do not recommend it. I've tried literally for an hour. Tried to get these two, see these screws here in the back? You gotta get to a second set of screws in the back here. Now this one, the front one, that's easy to get to. Well, not easy, but you can somewhat get to it. But the second one, forget about it. So yeah, do yourself a favor and just remove the seat. It's only 4 bolts holding the seat, and then there's you can see a slot on both sides, so you have to move the seat back. It's got little like a mushroom mounts like that fit in the slot, and then 4 bolts. Then you can tilt the seat and work on it. And even then, once you remove the seat, I had to remove this bracket here to tilt this whole assembly so I can get to those 2 bolts. Yet Robert claims he can get him out. I know you could get out the first one, the first set, but the movement of forward and back of the seat is the second set of cables, and I don't think you can get to it without removing the seat and removing this plate here, this bracket. Because once this thing is all the way up against the seat here. Once you remove this bracket, you can tilt this whole thing and you can actually see the bolts. And even then, once you remove all this, the bracket and everything, you can tilt the motor. Even then, you still have to use this crazy extension with flexible thing just to get to it. Because like I said, with the bracket on, this thing is completely against that foam up there, tucked against the seat. There's just no way to get that out. I don't know if you can read it. Lear seating, made in USA. Go figure. And this was just a bad design. This cable should have been longer, or this plastic sleeve should have been shorter. And pretty much everybody who's got a Volvo 960 S90 have to deal with this. Because the seat was moving only on one side, make sure your seat is straight. Because if you connect this cable and the seat is cocked, it's gonna keep moving on the angle. So just count the little grooves here in this gear bar and make sure you're in the same position on both sides. Because the seat was moving only on one side before, make sure you don't reassemble everything. You might have to move it manually by spinning this cable to get the seat straight. Or get the seat straight before you disconnect everything.